morning. Great to have you both as the first guests of the day. I suppose I should ask, first of all, how your happiness levels are right now.
I'm solid 8 plus.
8 plus?
Yes, I would say 8, 9.
8, 9. I'm a 10 out of 10. Yesterday was a great day, so I'm hoping that will continue for us. So, Maike, you're originally from Germany, so you have a bit of a sort of outsider-in perspective
Yes.
On life here in the Nordics, although you do live in Sweden at the moment. But just tell us, how did happiness in this region get on your radar in the first place?
It was more coincidence because I traveled to the most happy countries, the 13 most happy countries of the world, because I wanted to find out why the Germans are always so grumpy, actually. So, and then I ended up in Finland, Iceland, and all the Nordic countries, and I was blown away. I thought, wow, this is the mentality. This is really, really state of the art. So I tried to dig a little bit deeper in it and came back and visited 30 companies in the Nordics to find out, can you also be happy at work?
So you've been doing your own research, and then in parallel with this, we've got the World Happiness Report, which we should say it is the result of rigorous research. Some people do question what the concept of happiness is, what exactly it means. But we've got the Oxford Wellbeing Research Centre in the UK and the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network actually compiling this ranking. Can you tell us a bit about how they measure happiness and define it?
Yes, it's actually very interesting because you don't have only the World Happiness Report, which most of you will know, but you have also the World Value Survey and the OECD Better Life Index, and they always ask the questions a little bit different. The World Happiness Report is, it's from the Gallup studies, and they are asking, how do you rate your life? And then others ask, how satisfied are you with your life? And the World Value Survey asks, how happy you are. And so it's all different angles to happiness, but actually one thing always remains the same. It's always the Nordic countries on the top. However you ask the people. So,
Mikko, what's your response to that as a Finn, watching it come out on top year after year, Finland and the rest of the region?
That's a perfect question. I hope that I will learn that from Maike today. So I think that for Finns, the saying that happiness writes with white ink on a white paper goes pretty well. So when you see Finnish people, it's not that obvious that those guys at the street, they are the most happy nation. So you need to dig in a bit, and always, of course, when these research they have been published, so we Finns have this habit like whenever Finland is mentioned in a good context, it's always this torilla tavataan, so meeting at the marketplace. So we are like booming for a while and then we forget it. And I think that we are not that aware that what are the elements that makes us, so the institutional trust and all of that. So I agree with Maike that we could be a bit more proud of the nationwide happiness the platform for the happiness we have been able to make.
Yeah, you mentioned the institutional structures. A lot of some of these surveys, as you say, they can focus on happiness, but they can also focus on the elements that make up your life, that make you feel stable, secure. Just talk us through what some of those things that maybe people here might take for granted, but maybe we've got 36 nations watching on the live stream might not necessarily know what some of those institutions are.
Yes, of course, there are different reports. They take in account social security and income and all these things. But actually, what I think is more important, or what I find out when I talk to all the people in these countries, was it's more like focusing that on trust. Trust is a very important element of happiness. And the freedom to express yourself, to be yourself, to grow is so incredibly high in the Nordic countries. But you don't get into this egoistic, I can make whatever I want in my life, but it's more like, how can we succeed together? So to bind these forces together, that I think it's genius, because we are not only independent, but we are also interdependent. And this balance is very pressures, and I think the Nordic countries are very good also in schooling already to take this in account, to use the best of everyone for everyone.
Would you agree, Mikko?
Yeah, I think that the elements like from there, but I think that especially when you live, if you live your whole life in Finland and you don't see different type of like nations and all of that, so it's not that easy. So as a human, we have this kind of a like I don't know if it's just a malfunction in our programming or something, but we are a bit tricky species because we are not like happy if things are not progressing. So we are dissatisfied if everything stays stable. So in that sense, we have had a pretty good position for decades, and therefore I guess that we always are a bit surprised how well we are because we feel that things could be better, and of course they could.
It's really interesting. I'm based in Sweden, in Stockholm, and when I first moved from London, people were really shocked. Why would you want to move from a vibrant, big capital city here? And I said, well, things like the nature and the equality is better, and you've got parental leave and pensions, and of course all of those things can be improved. But that baseline that people had had for years, there was maybe a lack of understanding that it wasn't so available necessarily in other places.
And I think we have two things. So what you experience in Stockholm or in Sweden, it's not the reason, it's the result of that people want everyone to have a good life. And it's not the reason for happiness. And then the second thing we discussed it backstage was like, perhaps we have to leave this concept of happiness is like being newly in love, like a 10 of happiness scale, because if you can imagine being newly in love all the time, it would be crazy. We would not evolve. So we need this not being satisfied with something to be happy. So it's also an answer why we need crisis to also, it's a part of happiness. It's not like I'm happy all the time, but I'm happy, I'm a happy person, but now I'm not happy. So happiness is not this happy jelly feelings. Just forget about that. That's euphoric happiness. That's another concept.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about emotions here. And as Mikko mentioned, maybe if you walk around the streets, the Finns aren't exuding joy and sort of laughing and joking with every interaction. It's maybe a different take on happiness.
Yeah, I think that you can, like I just learned, that you can be happy in many ways, and that make me happy. So I don't have to be this kind of a cheery all the time. And I think that there's two main things that count. So two main questions, for instance, to leaders to make sure that everybody in the organization knows the right answers and feels that. So it's the first thing is that can tomorrow be better? And then another one is, can I do something for it? So I think that if answer for both of those questions is yes, then the foundation of like finding the good things and be like involved and do your best to do the tomorrow better. That's the main thing for the leaders.
Yeah, thank you for bringing back the conversation to the workplace.
Yes.
Let's get Maike's take on that as well. How do you think happiness and leadership can interact, and how does that work here in Finland, perhaps differently to other places?
It's not so different from the concept of happiness. That's the fun thing. That's why I am also working hard together with Nordic Minds to bring out the Nordic thinking or mentality to e.g. Germany or other countries, because it's making also people happy, and it is about giving the people the freedom to ask, to question things, to express themselves, to be critical also in a way, so that you can grow and develop. I think that's very good. That's what I said. And then it's a lot of this, it's love for people, actually, that is much stronger. This closeness to people, genuine, be interested in how are you doing, how is your life going, and I think this is really something that we are lacking in other countries, or that people are genuine interested in your well-being, and that is the base for a trusting environment, this psychological safety where everyone likes to be involved and participate. And I think we see it, me is coming from Germany, we see a lot of people protecting themselves, competing with each other, so they don't use their full potential because they have to, be a little bit tactical, don't share knowledge, I'm not helping you because I have to be better than you in the end. And that's toxical, and we don't see that in the Nordic countries.
Yeah, there is much more of a culture of collaboration. I can definitely verify that. And I was shocked when 20 people in the room were asked how their weekends were when I went to work for a company recently, and everyone gets the time to actually answer. But what about the challenges? What happens when you've got employees who aren't happy? How do you deal with that as a leader when there are challenges in the workplace?
Yeah, that's a good question. That when you have like lots of people and the happiness it's of course at the individual level it's emotion, so it varies quite heavily, even in a short period of time. But I think that the main things are that, at least I believe that the barriers for the happiness and the engagement and that you are successful what you do, they form at the individual level. So then the leadership mechanism should be in a way that it focus on finding and helping to solve those issues at the individual level. Not like of course you need processes that you can tackle most of the cases, but still there is lots of this kind of individuals that their needs vary, and that's at least I think that's the key of finding the solutions for different people on different times.
And briefly, same to you, Maike. How would you deal with unhappy employees as a leader?
Taking care of them and trying to help them to find. Perhaps they're just most of the time it's they're perhaps not on the right place or not on the right spot, but they have also perhaps personal issues. So it's this personal attention you have to give the people and try to find out how you can support them.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for those insights. Great discussion to kick off the day. Thank you to Mikko and Maike. Great.